we have two major victories for Vladimir Putin and Moscow to announce. One came after his phone call with Donald Trump. We'll get to that a little later. Another came with the news that Tulsi Gabbard has been confirmed to be the director of national intelligence. Now, I know many of you are saying she has no qualifications to do anything that has any kind of significant stakes attached to it. Never mind directing national intelligence. And of course, you would be correct. But there is a huge victory here for Moscow. And as most of you know, I am no fan of war hawk John Bolton, briefly Donald Trump's national security advisor, one of the architects of the war in Iraq under George W. Bush. I'm not a fan of this guy. But when even Bolton recognizes the national security risk that you pose, you know that it's worth paying attention to. Take a listen to this.
Well, I think Putin couldn't be happier. I tell you, they're drinking vodka straight out of the bottle in the Kremlin tonight. It was a great day for Moscow. I think Tulsi Gabbard's role as Director of National Intelligence is going to be extremely harmful to our national security. I think many allies are now going to think twice before they share intelligence with us. I think it'll impair our ability to gain confidence around the world. It was one of his worst nominations, beyond a doubt.
Ambassador John Bolton, thank you for.
Yeah, Bolton's right. You know, I'm not a guy who likes to rely on Bolton for feel-good news, but there is something jarring about seeing this war hawk practically wave a white flag of his own resignation, not a reassuring message that we would want to hear from someone who used to have the president's ear on international affairs. And I think it's important to mention the obvious, which is it's hard to think of someone less qualified for this job. Tulsi Gabbard's resume, whatever you think about her as a representative, formerly a Democrat, she served in the military, none of it screams top U.S. intelligence official unless you think Pete Hegseth is qualified to be Secretary of Defense, which I happen not to. We are talking about a person who's not Hegseth now in Gabbard, whose foreign policy stances are baffling to anyone who knows anything about global affairs, including some people in her own Republican Party. Remember her views about Bashar al-Assad. This is just one of 100 clips that I could play.
Do you think Assad is our enemy?
Assad is not the enemy of the United States because Syria does not pose a direct threat to the United States.
What would you say he is to the United States? If you cannot say that he's an adversary or an enemy, what is Assad to the U.S.? What is the word?
You can describe it however you want to describe it.
I want to know how you describe it.
My point is that whether it is Syria or any of these other countries, we need to look at how their interests are counter to or aligned with ours.
The problem with a lot of people's reaction to this stuff, including some people on what we call the so-called political left, as I call it, is that they say, David, what are you some kind of war hawk? Like, why do you want her to say Assad's the enemy? Why do you want her to say he's an adversary? This is not about wanting war. And I have never called for military action against Bashar al-Assad. You know, this is all increasingly in the rearview mirror. But the point here is it's naive to just say, no matter who it is, no matter their dictatorial actions, no matter their authoritarian tendencies, we should just be able to get together around a campfire, roast marshmallows, and sing Kumbaya with anybody. And unfortunately, there are people you can't do that with. Now, is it about Bashar al-Assad is personally a bad guy, or maybe he's really nice to his kids and he's a good father? Does he have kids? I don't even know. Yeah, he does. But it's just that it's his politics. It doesn't, in practical terms, this is when we are dealing with individuals who operate autocratically, who are authoritarians, who by getting what they want, damage the United States and damage democracy and freedom around the world. It's not about, oh, I want wars. It's simply when someone continually goes out of their way to not even say this is an adversary, you have to wonder what the values and priorities of Tulsi Gabbard are. It's not war hawk, warmongering or any of it. It's, is she going to, in a serious manner, address espionage, disinformation, cybersecurity threats, whatever, to the United States, if at a baseline she's like, oh, this guy's not, I'm not even willing to say Bashar al-Assad was an adversary at the time. So, you can tune into certain corners of the internet. You'll find people claiming that this is actually a really good thing because now we're going to get along with whoever, this, that, the other thing. That is very much not how foreign policy works, and it represents a naivete, totally disconnected from reality. So that's where we are. She got confirmed. It appears as though the vast majority of Trump's confirmations, if not all, are going to happen. And this is going to be a new political era. It is globally humiliating. Putin has already achieved a surrender from Trump, which we will deal with in a moment. But this is going to be a wild and long 4 years. Are you protected by living in a blue state? You're protected from some of this stuff, but not all of it. Particularly the foreign policy disasters, you're not really protected from in blue states. Nominally, if they come after women's bodily autonomy, are you more protected in blue states than red states? Yes, you are. When it comes to funding for certain programs, are you more protected in blue states than red states when the blue states are self-sufficient financially and less dependent on the federal money? Yeah, you are. With a lot of these bigger picture things, it doesn't matter where you are. You could be in Texas or California, Florida, Arkansas. It doesn't matter. And being a global laughingstock is not something that moving to Vermont is going to prevent. So a sad state of affairs, and just wait till you see Trump's post-Putin phone call press conference. Regrettable stuff. Many of us loved eating breakfast cereals as kids, but now that we're adults, you don't want all the sugar and the carbs, which is why I love our sponsor, Magic Spoon, the nostalgically delicious cereal that tastes just like your favorite sugary cereals from childhood, but without the sugar and packed with protein. Every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 net carbs, so you can feel good about what you're eating. The most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa, but there are many more. And if you're already a fan of Magic Spoon, I have big news. Magic Spoon has turned their super popular cereal into high-protein treats that are light, crispy, and crunchy, and taste just like the classic crunchy cereal bars. Magic Spoon treats have become a favorite go-to snack because it's an easy way to get 11 grams of protein on the go. And for the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores with delicious flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/Pacman, or look for Magic Spoon in your nearest grocery store. The link is in the description.